Good afternoon and welcome to the Living Well radio program. You can find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATV 89.3 in Anchorage, KJLP 88.9 in Palmer. You can also catch us online at katv.org. My name is Cammie and I'm always joined by my lovely friend Betty. Say hi to everybody, Betty.
Good afternoon.
She's cracking me up because she's over there rocking out. She's trying out some headphones for the first time today, and she was really getting a groove on with our opening music there.
I had no idea it would be so loud. Well, last time you were telling everybody I was being rebellious
And so
because I wouldn't wear them, so I decided, okay, I'll wear them today.
So you submitted.
I submitted.
What a good
I'm being
girl.
obedient.
You are, and you look so cute.
Oh,
if
I can
could
only
just say
imagine
so. I
with
wish
my fat
everybody...
cheeks and everything.
Oh, we're getting a
look like a
picture of you
chipmunk.
today. We're going to be posting it up. You look too cute.
Without a doubt.
Yes. Listen, everybody, we are so excited to just have such a wonderful guest in this studio today. We want to welcome Susan Bretz to the studio. She is serving with Operation Christmas Child. Yes, we are saying the word, aren't we?
Christmas.
Christmas. It is coming around the corner, but we couldn't be more excited to have her joining us. And she has got such an awesome title. Let's see if I can spit this out correctly here. I love it. She is the regional area strategist for, again, Operation Christmas Child, which is a segment of Samaritan's Purse. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Susan, and just ask you to share a little bit with us, just a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. I've lived here in Alaska since I was 13 years old. Seems like forever. And we have just really love living here in Alaska and have just really had a great time serving the Lord. And this project has been an amazing opportunity for our family. We've been able to serve together for the last, almost 18 years.
Really?
So, yeah.
18 years?
Yeah, is that crazy or what?
Yes.
So they've basically been raised in this ministry then?
My son has, so absolutely. This has been a lot of fun. So,
wow. Gosh, what an amazing just commitment and faithfulness to this ministry.
I had no idea it'd been that long.
Yeah, we kind of stumbled into it. God kind of had a plan and we had no clue. And we just kept following the little steps as he put them in front of us. And now our whole family is involved up to our eyeballs in it. And it's only 6 weeks until National Collection Week.
Wow, it's
So,
just 6 weeks. It is
yeah.
rolling, huh?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this position, the regional area strategist. What does that entail?
So we actually have 3 area teams here in the state of Alaska. We have one that's based out of Juneau that deals with all of the folks and churches down in Southeast. We have one team that is based out of Fairbanks that deals with all of interior and northern Alaska. They have a huge area. And then my home territory is South Central Alaska, and it's a little bit more than what you would expect. We stretch all the way from the Aleutians to the Canadian border, but we have a ton of fun. Last year we actually met our goal. We've collected over 20,000 shoeboxes throughout the state. And as the regional area strategist, I'm blessed to be able to serve alongside the area coordinators for each of those teams and just help them to make sure they have all of the supplies they need, go and speak if they need somebody to come share, and just come alongside and support them in any way that I can. So it's a lot of fun.
So I guess before we get too much further, we should go ahead and describe what the ministry is, because you're saying shoebox, and I can only imagine, Betty, what people are thinking out there. Why are they collecting 20,000 shoeboxes?
Exactly.
I mean, women are thinking, I've got 10 in my closet. What do I need to do with them? So tell us, what do we need to do with those?
All right. Well, Operation Christmas Child is a project of Samaritan's Purse, which is an international disaster relief organization. Wherever something horrible is going on in the world, we try to go and come alongside and support and serve those folks in the name of Jesus Christ and share the love of God with them. Operation Christmas Child is a project that is strictly for the kids. And what we do is donors will fill a shoebox with toys, school supplies, hygiene items, all those sorts of things that you think a kid might enjoy. We collect those the 3rd week of November every year and send them to children literally all over the world. And last year, the state of Alaska collected over 20,000 shoeboxes. This year, our goal is 22,222 shoeboxes.
Really?
Yes.
Now, how did you come up with that number?
It was easy to remember. And it's 10% increase. So we're praying that the Lord will provide a 10% increase this year.
That is awesome. How neat.
But we're just a little tiny piece of the whole puzzle, because last year worldwide, there's several different countries that do collect shoeboxes. We collected over 11 million shoeboxes.
That's amazing.
Sent to over 100 different countries. So God is touching children's lives all over the world through simple shoebox gifts.
You know what just amazes me is the logistics behind this ministry.
Yeah.
Every time I hear you guys share about it or we watch one of the promo videos, I mean, just the logistics alone. What
Yeah.
an amazing
Or
feat.
when you see the truck parked in the parking lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that that's going to be full of shoe boxes.
What's crazy to me is we actually are into 2 trucks this year. Last year was the first time we needed 2 trucks to get all of our boxes just from this area out to ship them out.
Really?
So we are so excited. That was a milestone for us to get 2 trucks. So Lord willing, a few years we'll be up to 3.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I just have to ask because I'm always curious. What is one of the most surprising methods these boxes are moved in other countries?
In other countries, they've been delivered by almost, you can name it, they've been delivered that way. My favorite videos is we have some on the backs of elephants being
Really?
dropped off. They've been delivered by dog sled, dugout, canoe, helicopter, by foot, anything that you can think of, we've used it. And we're trying to get out into the farthest reached areas that the gospel hasn't been brought to yet. So we're real perseverant. We get out there no matter what it takes.
Susan, before we get much further, how did you get involved? What possessed you? What prompted you to get involved with Operation Christmas Child?
Well, like I said, it was baby steps. When my son was about 6 years old, he came home with a shoebox from Sunday school, which made sense, another one from children's choir, another one from Awana's, and another one from school because he was going to the Christian school. And we're like, what are these things and why do you have so many of them? And of course he was like, oh, but I have to fill them all because I have to turn them in and get points. Oh, okay. So we went to Walmart and went through and we took a box with us and filled it up so everything fit. And by the time we were done filling those 4 boxes, we realized, hey, this is a really good way to teach him about serving others and that it's not all about him, but it's about sharing the gospel with other folks too, and that these children, many of them have nothing. And so that was our first little baby steps into it. And we filled them every year. And then a couple of years later, we were walking through the lobby of the church at kind of an oddball time. And one of the pastors was loading cartons with these shoe boxes. And we're like, why are you doing that? And his comment was, well, nobody else will. Yes, they will. Go do your pastoral stuff. We can fill those cartons. And our family took that over for the next number of years until my son was old enough to go to the processing center, which our boxes here are shipped to Southern California, which is where they're processed to be able to be shipped overseas. So when he was 13, we headed down to California for the first time. And I literally, as I walked in the door of the warehouse, there was a sea of shoeboxes, and it was like I'd come home. I started bawling. It's like, this is where I need to be. And God has just taken us step by step by step, and it's been very obvious that this is where he wanted us. And the fun thing is our whole family is still serving together. I'm the regional area strategist. My husband is the area coordinator for South Central Alaska. My son is on the community relations team, and my daughter-in-law is our student relations coordinator. So it's a full-time family affair. So
Really?
yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Your literally your entire family.
Yep.
And
Yep.
your daughter-in-law, yeah, I've known Brittany for many, many, many years. I think that's great.
Yeah. God has just blessed us. God is so good.
So tell us, you mentioned a few items, but tell us a little bit about what these shoe boxes, ideally, what would they be packed with?
A little bit of everything. A lot of these boxes are going places where they don't have much of anything. So putting some practical items in is really beneficial. Some hygiene items like soap and washcloth. Some school supplies are huge because a lot of the places these boxes go, children aren't allowed to go to school if they don't have their own school supplies. So it just simple pencils and pens and notebooks and are things that make it so children can actually get educated. But you always want to put something fun. I like to put a wow item. So like for boys, a soccer ball with a pump, you just deflate it and put a pin and a pump in there. And or for girls, for the younger ones, stuffed animals or dolls, sewing kits for the older ones. It's just all sorts of different things that the kids will find not only useful, but also a lot of fun. Try to put something colorful. I was blessed to be able to go to Columbia and be there when they were handing out some of the shoeboxes a couple of years ago.
Really?
And just imprinted in my brain are these two little girls. One of them received a coloring book with crayons, one of those big packs of 64 crayons, and they just sat down. They kind of set everything else aside and sat down, and the two of them were just coloring like crazy in this box right there on the floor in the church. It was
Really?
just the coolest thing.
Oh.
So those sorts of things. But the thing that I hear over and over that the children really treasure is a picture of the family that packed the box and a note, just a simple note that lets them know that God loves them and that we love them. And that really, really has an impact. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And then just to clarify, these are not used items.
Correct. We ask that you send something new that you would want to give to your child. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be expensive things. One of the, we had a young lady that came and shared about receiving a shoebox when she was a little girl growing up in an orphanage in the former Soviet Union. And the thing that touched her heart the most was just the simple barrettes and hair clips, because she'd always wanted some and never had. So it's not crazy expensive to fill a shoebox, but boy, the impact these boxes have on children's lives is amazing.
It's not that expensive
No.
to fill a shoebox, and our children have so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I always liked about it. It taught my kids to give,
Yep. Amen.
to give,
Amen.
and it doesn't take a lot.
Nope.
I have heard of people, and I think you do it also, before school, when all the school supplies are on sale.
Yeah.
People will go out and buy cases of like crayons when they're 9 cents a pack, or rulers when they're 5 cents, or pencils,
Yep.
and they will save that to fill the shoe boxes.
I had a friend that she went to Target and they'd marked their spiral bound notebooks down to 3 cents each. She was so excited she bought 300 of them. So
Really? Wow.
So, yep, I'm a firm believer in being a year-round shopper. Almost everything I put in my boxes is 90% off. So now I've really perfected this, but I can fill a shoebox for under $5 with really nice stuff. So, yeah, if you're strategic, it does not cost much at all to fill a box.
That's awesome. That's not encouragement. I don't know what is. Fill a shoebox for under $5.
And,
That is a
and many
challenge.
stores now have the dollar aisle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
think Target has it, and Michael's.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody else does or not, but that's a good place to get
It is.
some
Yeah.
little things. And we always like to put something that they don't expect, like you said, like a toy of
Yeah.
some kind. I know socks
Yep.
are something that we have packed in ours.
I love stuffing the biggest stuffed animal I can find that'll fit in the box. I love stuffing those in for the little 2 to 4 year olds because they just love hugging on something. So
Oh. So you went to Columbia. Tell us a little bit more about that experience.
So it was an amazing opportunity to see how not even so much how the children respond to the boxes, but how the churches are using those boxes, because that kids, they get super, super excited, and this is something totally out of the normal for them. So you expect that. What I really loved was seeing how the churches are using these boxes to reach the world for Christ. For example, one of the places that we distributed boxes was way up in the mountains. There was no Christian church anywhere in that vicinity, nowhere even remotely close. And the church that was sponsoring this distribution was from down in the valley, and they had a core group of people that had committed to going back out to this area and trying to plant a church. And when you think of shoeboxes, a lot of people think of it being just a shoebox gift that, it's an exciting thing. Well, that's just the first step. Those shoeboxes are actually a key for ministry for these churches. And when the evangelistic presentation is done, they present the gospel very plainly when the children receive the box. But after that, they're also given a booklet that has the gospel story in cartoon form in their own language. So the children have something they can take home, share with their friends and family. But then they also are invited to a 12-week discipleship program called The Greatest Journey. So it's not just a here you go and away we go, but these churches are using this as a way to come back week after week after week to share with the children. And a lot of the times that it's not just the children coming, but the parents want to know what their children are learning. So you have that opportunity to share with the parents. And there are literally hundreds and thousands of churches that have been started around the globe that started with a shoebox gift distribution. So we've really enjoyed getting to talk to some of these missionaries and these pastors that have such a heart for their communities and are using these boxes in a very strategic way to be able to reach the world for Christ. So,
That's a lot of shoe boxes.
yes, it is.
Do you still have to use your own shoe boxes, or can people use a shoe box they have at home?
Any shoebox will do. We do ask that you not use giant ones, like the boot boxes and things, because we tell pastors to expect a certain number of shoe boxes in the cartons we send them. So just a standard size shoebox is perfect. The plastic ones that you can get at Costco or at Walmart are fine also. And those are kind of cool because they're a gift in and of itself, because they can keep using those.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Now, we've had a great partnership this year with the Walking Store. They've made it their goal to try to collect 500 shoeboxes for us.
Really?
So, but almost any shoebox or shoe store that you go into and you say, hey, I need some empty shoeboxes for Operation Christmas Child, almost all of them are perfectly happy to give you empty shoe boxes. So you don't even necessarily have to buy 10 pairs of shoes for your family. You can just go ask for empties.
Now, I know you've been in this for 18 years, so you're bound to have favorite stories.
Oh, yes, I do.
I have heard people talk about miracle after miracle, how they will go with only maybe 40 shoe boxes, but have 52 kids, and somehow they
God
end up with
stretches it.
enough.
Yep.
So
I have, my son actually was blessed to be able to go with Samaritan's Purse youth team several years ago, and he actually had that happen. They went on one distribution, and they knew the distribution that they were on, they were in Bolivia, and they knew that every carton had the same number of shoe boxes because it was a special thing with that country. They had to have that consistency. So they knew exactly how many shoe boxes they took to this distribution, and they went out, and they were like, wow, there are a lot of children here. And they just kept thinking, wow, that's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids. But okay, they did their program. They handed out the boxes. They did the whole thing. Everybody got a box. The next morning, when they were doing their debrief from the day before, their leaders are like, so how many boxes do you think we handed out yesterday? 110? No, I think higher. They're like, what? They handed out over 200 shoe boxes, and they knew they only
Really?
had 110 boxes that they took. So God is absolutely amazing. No, can't explain it other than saying God did it. One of my other favorite stories was another friend of mine. She actually was on this distribution, and this little girl, she was sitting right next to her, and she got her box, opened it, closed it, jumped up, and ran away. And in the confusion of everything, Erin kind of thought, that's odd, but she got caught up with other things. Then this little girl comes back with her mom, and she gets back to the spot, and her box is gone. No idea what happened to her box. So Erin's like, oh no, what do I do now? What do I do now? So she goes and she checks, and there was one more box in the carton that hadn't been distributed. And she grabs that box out, brings it over, and it was pink, wrapped up in strawberry shortcake paper. So it takes it over to this little girl. The little girl opens it up, and her mom starts bawling, like just sobbing. And she's like, okay, this is way over the top. That's not normal. She went and found a translator, and the translator came over and started asking questions. And this mom shared how a few months earlier, they were doing this distribution in the dump. So it's like the dump. The mom shared how she had a few months earlier gone and had been going through the trash trying to find things to sell or for her family, and had found this magazine that had an ad for a strawberry shortcake in it. And she thought, oh, that's really cute, and pulled that page out and brought it to her daughter as a present. And her daughter just loved this strawberry shortcake doll that she saw the picture of. Inside this box, everything in the box was strawberry shortcake. It was like, only God can do stuff like that. So, and he does that so consistently. And you hear about how God is just touching lives in crazy, miraculous ways through simple shoe boxes. So,
Where do you go from that, Betty? It's such astounding information from this ministry.
I've got a couple other fun ones.
Go for it. We would love to hear it.
So one that came out 3 or 4 years ago, there was a little girl in Mexico, and this was in a very tough part of Mexico where the drug trade was very, very prevalent, and people often would disappear. And there was this young girl. She was about 14 years old, had a baby on her hip. And so they kind of were watching this little girl because found out that it was her baby and everything. So they were just kind of paying attention. And she opens up her box and she starts crying. And they come over and they're like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And in the top of this box was a picture and a letter from a family that in the United States that had filled this box. And turns out that this family was her aunt and uncle that had disappeared. They thought they'd been killed. They had come to the States, and now they not only knew that their family was okay, but they knew how to get in touch with them. So how do you do that?
That's incredible.
Oh my goodness.
And then how about a bride in a box?
Really?
Yeah. So there was
There's a cliffhanger if I've ever heard one.
there was a boy that filled a shoebox when he was just probably 10 years oldish and sent this box off, never heard anything back from it. He'd put his picture and his address in it. And this girl over in the Philippines had received the box and had tried writing him a letter but never got a response. So who knows where the letter went. But several years later, you know how Facebook is. You start kind of looking around, and he had a little bit of a unique name. She knew he came from a mountainous area, so she's just kind of going through Facebook with the name, just kind of curious. And she sees this guy from Montana, and it's the right name, and it's like, I wonder if this is him. So she writes to him and said, "Did you fill a shoebox?" And it's like, "Yeah." So they started communicating back and forth, and he went and visited her. And about 3 years ago, they got a call at the main headquarters from a mother saying, "So has anybody ever done an Operation Christmas Child themed wedding?" And they're like, "No, why?" And this young couple, they ended up getting married because of the contact made through that shoebox.
Chills all over. Come on.
So for their honeymoon, they collected shoeboxes and they drove their boxes to the warehouse and dropped them off. So just the coolest thing.
That's so neat that you hear of this stuff. I think that alone is just really cool that they're making sure that these success stories and just all of the beauty that's coming from it is exposed to all of those involved.
Yep.
It just keeps the vision alive and keeps you motivated, and that is really cool.
Certainly encourages me to fill more boxes every year.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of which, we want to make sure our audience knows exactly how they can, we've told them the items that are preferred, that are great ideas to put in these boxes. Next, tell us a little bit about where they can drop those off. If they're anywhere in the state, really, we need to give that kind of information.
Sure. So what happens is we do the National Collection Week is October 14th through the 21st November 14th through the 21st this year. So we have drop-off locations scattered practically all over the state. And if you want to find out where your closest drop-off location is, go onto our website. It's SamaritansPurse.org/OCC. And they'll have a spot where you can plug your zip code in. It'll tell you your closest locations. It will also tell you the hours that they'll be open so you can drop those boxes off.
Perfect.
So, and that went live this weekend, so you can do it right now.
And we want to help meet that goal, 2,222 boxes.
Let's make it 22,000.
22,000.
That was need one more.
222. Did I get it right? 22,222. 22222.
There you go.
Perfect. You got it, Betty.
Well, we want to help fill all those boxes.
Awesome. Thank you.
And so we encourage all of our listeners to either contact you or just to go out and get a shoebox, fill it up, and take it to a drop-off point.
Right.
Is there anything that you do not allow in the boxes?
Great.
There actually are quite a few things that you're not allowed to put in the boxes. Some of the main ones being breakables, something that in transit, because some of these boxes go thousands of miles, and on the back of an elephant, who knows, So nothing breakable, nothing liquid, because if it leaks, it can not only ruin that box, but all of the boxes around it. No food, because that's a different customs level, so we're not allowed to send any food into countries. And then we ask that you not put any war-related items. A lot of our boxes go to war-torn areas, and we just don't want to bring any of those type of memories to mind. So no G.I. Joes and those types of things.
Good.
But there's a complete list of ideas of what to put in boxes, along with all of the things that we're not allowed to ship on our website. So there's a ton of resources right there on SamaritansPurse.org/OCC.
And it's also broken down by ages.
It
and
is.
boy
Yes.
and girl.
Yeah, so you can fill a box for either a boy or a girl. The categories are age 2 to 4, 5 to 9, or 10 to 14. So yeah.
What's been some of the most popular items, or what would you recommend for some people to send?
Love stuffed animals. Even the boys love stuffed animals. They love something to hold on to. Anything that makes noise, harmonicas, recorders, those little clappy hands that drive us all nuts. Yeah. Anything that makes noise, anything that's really colorful. Those sorts of things are wonderful. And then school supplies are huge, just huge.
So just thinking, and I don't know if you did mention this, I apologize if this is redundant, but I'm thinking clothes might not be a good idea, right?
Well,
because you don't know, or is it good?
Yeah, actually, we do put a lot of clothes, especially like T-shirts and things like that. And when I put them in, I usually gauge a little bit bigger than the size that I would expect a child to wear, because then they can grow into it. But even if it's something that they're not going to be able to use, there's somebody around them that can. One of my very favorite stories was a young girl that was in Bosnia back during the war in the 90s, and her shoes were falling apart. They'd kind of tied them together with baling wire and stuff, and she was at the end of her rope when she got her box, and in her box was a pair of white tennis shoes that fit her perfectly. So
Really?
God can make those things fit. So yeah, if you come across a really good deal, I love putting clothes and flip-flops and all sorts of stuff in there.
Yeah. Is there any graphics that are offensive, or cartoon characters, or what are your
That's a
thoughts
great
on that?
question. So a couple of them that we don't send for various reasons. We don't send like Harry Potter, that sort of thing, and Pokemon, because of the religious connotations in some of the countries we send to.
Okay.
So those are the only two that come to mind that we are on our no list for that.
Perfect. So I guess we want to find out too, Betty, what kind of opportunities are there to volunteer with this organization? Are you in need of anybody?
Look at that grin on her face.
I love that question. There are lots and lots of opportunities to volunteer. The first and foremost that everybody thinks of, all of our collection and relay centers during that third week of November need volunteers, because there are a lot of boxes that are dropped off, and every one of those boxes needs packed into cartons, and there's a lot of logistics that go into it. So if you wanted to go on and check the website, find out if there's one close by you, and then just contact them and see if they need anybody to come and volunteer. I know they would love to hear from you.
Okay.
And then we actually also have a year-round volunteer area team. There's one up in the Fairbanks area, there's one down in Southeast, and then here in South Central. And we actually target year-round several different aspects. And for example, our church relations team, we go through phases throughout the year. In the winter, after like January through March, we really focus on contacting the churches that supported and participated last year, and just reaching out and telling them thank you and giving them the results. Then we move into a time of year where we're reaching out to churches that have not participated, sharing this project with them, and encouraging them to participate. And then later in the year, we go back to the ones that participated last year and see if we can, if they need any supplies or people to come and share at their church and things. So it's a year-round project. It's not just November for us. We do the same thing with community relations. We have a prayer mobilization team. Prayer is the foundation of everything that we do, and we're always seeking folks that to just pray for the ministry. So there's a lot of different aspects where we do need volunteers. So if you're interested in learning about volunteer opportunities, again, you can go on the website. There's the same website. There's a link for volunteering, and gives a lot of information about the different aspects of volunteering, and then can help you get in contact with us or whichever area team is closest.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Great information.
Susan, if an organization wanted you to come to speak to them, how would they contact you?
Email's the best. Go ahead and email us at occanchorage@gmail.com. And if you're not in the Anchorage area, that's okay. We know who is in your closest area around the state, so we can get you hooked up. But just email us at occanchorage@gmail.com. That's our local team here in Anchorage. And if you want to get involved in volunteering, you can contact us that way also. So.
With just a little bit of time left, not much here, I want to ask this question, and I don't know if it's a good ending question or not, but I'm just curious, do they do any distributions here in the United States through this ministry?
Not very much. So Samaritan's Purse does a lot of work here domestically. But for the shoe boxes, generally speaking, the things that we put in them are the children in our areas aren't that excited about. A washcloth isn't going to necessarily thrill an American child, whereas for one of the young men, Ted, in that received his box over in the former Soviet Union, that was the most exciting thing he had, because he was in an orphanage and had to share a towel with 50 other boys. So most of our boxes are distributed internationally. We do go into some of the Indian reservations down in Arizona and New Mexico, that area. But in general, the stuff that Samaritan's Purse does here is more big scale, like when Hurricane Katrina and when the fire out in Hooper Bay, we did a project out there and rebuilt things. So we do a lot of the bigger projects here in the States. So
I appreciate you sharing that, because I know a lot of people bring that up, and you guys definitely do work here in Alaska.
Yes.
I know Franklin Graham, has such a heart for Alaska, and so appreciate you sharing that.
certainly.
Okay, we want to share again the number. I totally messed it up the first time.
Our goal for Alaska this year is 22,222 shoeboxes. Worldwide, our goal is 12 million shoeboxes. Is that crazy?
That's
That
crazy.
just blows my mind.
And the drop-off date, the collection date?
November 14th through the 21st. And we have drop-offs scattered literally across the state. And if you're someplace where you are off the road system and you can't fill a shoebox and drop it off, you can always fill a shoebox online, which is really super cool.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And those online boxes are used in very, very special, unique ways. They go into very hard to reach areas where they have a lot of extra restrictions. So they're very, very targeted. It's very exciting. So,
Wow, I had no idea you could do that.
Yep.
Well, Susan, it has been a pleasure
Oh, well,
having you on the show. Thank you for coming. You've given us so much information.
thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.
And that is another Living Well radio program. We appreciate you joining us again today, and you can find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATB 89.3 in Anchorage, also KJLP 88.9 in Palmer, and don't forget to catch us online at katb.org.